for the film festival. Yay!
Hey!
Excellent. So my first interview in here, and
Certainly my first. Yeah.
it's beautiful. We've got Howard and John Ford, and we also
Howard, John.
Yeah, wave, smile. And we've also got Rob Freeman, the leading man of The Dead.
I've got my gloves on.
We're not cold in here whatsoever. It's toasty. So yeah, The Dead. Okay. Obviously, zombie films have always been a favourite. What would you say makes this one different from the rest?
A lot of things. So this is a sort of almost a 70s style journey movie set in Africa. So it's about a lone survivor travelling across from one side of Africa to the other, and it's about bringing together of two different cultures within flesh-eating zombie context.
What better way to do this?
You know? Yeah. It's really, and I think no one's no one's crazy or brave enough, I'm not sure, stupid enough probably, to go to the middle of Africa and shoot a zombie movie.
Ever since seeing the original Dawn of the Dead, which is my all-time favourite movie, we knew we had to make a zombie movie, and so basically it was always going to be a survival movie. It was always going to be in an epic landscape, a harsh environment to survive in. It was going to be a survival movie, really. And after shooting some commercials in Africa, we found what we thought was the best location in the world to shoot a zombie movie in. Most zombie movies are stuck in one building, they barricade themselves in, and the zombies try and attack.
Or they lock it down. They lock it down like you can lock down a city like New York or something.
Yeah, in Africa there is nothing you can lock. There's mud huts there with no doors on. I mean,
or doorknobs.
Yeah, you just.
It's very true.
It's an agoraphobic nightmare.
It is an agoraphobic
movie. One of the favourite things that I did read upon it was that we're better to get away from zombies in the middle of nowhere, or you would think.
Yeah. It's actually the opposite, because you have to stop sometime, you have to sleep, you have to rest, and they will catch you because they're relentless, they're unstoppable.
You've gone quite old school in the kind of like concept and then mix it up.
Yeah.
Definitely slow moving zombie. That's something John and I agreed from the very beginning, not just because it was how our inspirations did it, like Romero and Fulci, but you lose something filmically, you lose suspense. In fast-running zombies, it's straight in there. It becomes you're forced stylistically to shoot action, and actually there's much more power in suspense if these things are slowly creeping up on you.
Do you mean there's more power in suspense?
Ah, yes, there is more power in suspense. Definitely.
Thank you. Yes. I'm free from any roles. Yeah. There have been terrible rumours about the shooting of the film. Would you care to share or confirm?
How long have you got? We need about a year, right?
Yeah. I hear that one does involve you quite badly.
Yes. Well, malaria.
I wasn't the first one to get malaria. John was the first one to get malaria.
Yeah. Well, I think I got it around.
He was diagnosed with
time. Yeah, but I mean, Rob got full-blown malaria. I managed to get my medication from a. And take it, and I didn't suffer too badly, but Rob went down the road of full-blown malaria. He refused, he just kept going, kept doing the scenes, kept acting.
Rob won't admit that he's ill. He's too tough for that business.
Well, we couldn't afford to do it. We couldn't afford to stop because we were 3 weeks behind before we even got shooting because of customs and
5 weeks.
5 weeks customs. We weren't even sure if we were going to get back at Christmas, so we had to film. We had to shoot every day. Yeah. These guys were throwing up in toilets for 3 days running. John had the Steadicam, and if you've ever carried a Steadicam, because John gave it to me to carry,
especially with a fully loaded 35mm camera,
really heavy. Yeah, and he was doing it. Taking the Steadicam
after I'd lost about 2 stone in weight after horrific food poisoning, dysentery, malaria. We had the lot.
It was like the crew were dropping like flies, and there were a hell of a lot of flies around. I was mugged at knife point on day one. In the city of Ouagadougou.
And the police would stop us almost on a daily basis at gunpoint. They all had these AK-47s. They would stop us at gunpoint, and basically we'd have to bribe our way out of there. So we were robbed, sometimes several times a day.
Yes.
And sometimes we'd have our vehicles impounded. Yeah. We'd never even get to location sometimes.
I mean, I actually developed, believe it sounds ridiculous now, I developed a bad arm from the act of handing over cash. Lifting my shoulder, reaching into the pocket and handing over. My shoulder started clicking. That act over and over again. It didn't matter where you were on someone's chicken ground, someone's...
Were you not close to calling off the shoot after all of this?
Oh yeah, they actually came to me I got malaria twice. The first time I got it, actually I don't think I was cured.
Well, you were on a drip for 2 weeks in total.
In hospital. But the first time I got it, I refused to say that I was anything wrong, but finally I came down the stairs and they all looked at me like this, and they took me into the clinic, and there were no beds in the clinic. So I had to spend the night on a desk in a storage closet, the drip in my arm in the dark.
Covered in his own vomit.
Yeah, covered in my vomit.
And not just vomit either. Every kind of
fluid you can
substance
imagine.
that might want to come out.
Yeah.
This is
Very dignified experience.
Yeah. So
I can't imagine many
Skim over
actors.
that.
Yeah, I can't imagine many actors putting up with that. So,
they
credit
came
to
up
it.
to
Yeah,
me.
definitely.
These guys came up to me and they said quietly in my room and said, "Look, we understand if you want to go home.
We'd already started thinking about changing the script.
Changing the
We thought we'd
script so
definitely
you can
want to
send
go.
me home." I got really angry with both of them because I'm an athlete, but ex-hockey player, but all sorts of sports. I've never ever quit on a team in my life. And you know, sports fans are watching. You just never quit on a team in your life. I couldn't believe they were asking me to. I understood why they were asking me, but they smiled at the end and said,
And
"Okay."
in all
and we
fairness,
just
not many
continued.
people would. It'd probably be with bribery of, well, threat of suing.
Yeah,
or
Yeah,
something.
I was one of my biggest fears before even going out was the actor not putting. I knew it was going to be tough. I had no idea that it was going to be a hell on earth, a living hell. But I thought that my biggest fear was the lead actor was going to want to go home. But it was actually the complete reverse of that. He refused.
He
to.
bloody
said
wouldn't go home.
He wouldn't go home. He said the only one
Thank
going home
God he
is in a
didn't.
box.
Yeah.
You know, and total credit to him for that, and still managed to deliver a really superb performance.
And thank
So-
God he did, because it is
yeah.
really a great performance. I don't know any other actor on this planet who could have put up with all the stuff that went on and still delivered. I remember there was a time when you were getting ill, you know, you'd spend 90% of your energy just like stopping the convulsing, and then by the time, okay, rolling camera, and then and deliver some sort of performance that meant something. I don't know how you did it.
And it honestly didn't affect the performance, in your opinions,
It's
because
part
it's
of it. The film, I'll tell you what the film meant to me. It meant horror is the rise of repression. And my journey through Africa is much like everybody's journey in life, that we have things which we've repressed throughout our lives, and these things come to the surface, and we have to maneuver our way around them every day. I'm sure in your life you have problems arise from family or past or whatever, and you have to maneuver around all of these things. And to me, that's what the zombies were. And there wasn't, as we got going, there was no difference, and I'm not kidding this, between what was in the script and what was happening to us in reality. It was as harsh in reality as it was in the script, and I lost the distinction between my character and myself.
We even met a real cannibal. This sounds bizarre. A real
cannibal
rode by
on
on
a
a
bicycle.
bicycle. Yeah, but he seemed like one of the nicest guys we met,
Yeah.
actually. And he was like, "Oh, he eats dead people from his village as long as they're not decomposed." You know, he loved the idea of our
Flesh-eating
white-eyed,
zombies,
flesh-eating
yeah.
zombies. It was, and I remember it was getting
I hope
dark,
you've
and
not planted any ideas in his head.
Yeah,
well,
probably.
he did make a joke about, "Have you tried any white meat?" And you know, he kind of laughed a bit.
They were all
and,
laughing at us at that point, and we thought, let's go.
Yeah, let's just try going.
We were out in the middle of nowhere at that. I'd like to say that what happened to us is culturally significant. What we perceive as corruption, they perceive as a way of making it through their days.
Survival.
Well, doing what's necessary to put food on your
Yes.
family's table
Yes.
in a place that is starving. I mean,
Yes.
some what's known as a good job in Burkina Faso, so we understand, they were like, it's about a 12-hour day lifting 40-kilo bags of rice or cocoa onto ships at the port. They didn't get food or water. The equivalent of $1 for a 12-hour shift. You know, we come along, you're getting paid 10 times the amount for pretending you're a zombie, walking from A to B, and you're getting fed, you're getting sheltered. We couldn't keep them away, you know.
And if they didn't get a part, then they became a policeman and stopped us along the side of the road.
So everyone got employed. We went into the villages.
and
They
said,
would,
"Give us your money." Remember the time we got stopped on there. It was a really horrific one. And this guy was really mean. He wasn't very nice. And he came up to me, and I had...
There's the driving
I was
license.
kind of like, whatever. He says, yeah. He says, "Let's see your driving license." And we're in an English vehicle. And they drive on the other side of the road. So I handed him my license. And he said, "Okay." And he was disappointed. You could see the look on his face, because there wasn't anything wrong with the driving license. Then he looked, and he saw, "Where's the steering wheel?" And then he realized it was on the other side. Then they asked Howard for his driving license, and almost got thrown in jail on
well, because
that instance.
during my mugging, my mugging on the first day, my driving license had been taken amongst everything else that had been taken. So they then tried to put me in jail for driving without the license taken by their muggers, and so it was always a case of just buying your way out.
It's actually quite unbelievable to hear that, like, especially when you're filming
Trying to
something
film,
as well,
which is actually one of the hardest things you can do. You know,
and you
You
have
had a-
camera crews with you, and you've
He
got
had a good quote for that. John did. He said it, or was it you? He said we were making the film, was like working with Mike Tyson on your back, punching the heck out of you.
Yeah.
That's what it was like.
Trying to be creative while you're projectile vomiting and you're being robbed and all these things are happening. It's almost it's
true
impossible.
film
Days would go by, we
experience.
couldn't get one shot in the can, let alone an entire sequence that is coherent. And we were trying to, believe it or not, make a beautiful movie. First and foremost, it's meant to be a beautiful movie.
And I have heard the cinematography is fantastic
Yeah, it
as
is.
well,
It's
John.
thank
You
you
know,
very much.
Well, that's
it's
that's
not-
down to these guys really knowing what they're doing.
Yeah.
That's a testament to the film. Under all the circumstances that we had to go through, all the pressures and last minute, hurry, hurry, hurry. These guys are so good at what they do. They're able to capture those incredible things that you see on the screen.
Was it a 6-week shoot? It was scheduled as.
Schedule. We took us 5 weeks to get our equipment in the country before we could even start shooting
we
at
had
all.
a
We
week
were going
left.
back and forth to the port each day.
Yeah.
$1,000 for this, $500 for that. Basically, we were just walking money, obviously. And then 5 weeks to get the kit out. We ended up in Africa after things went bad. The malaria happened as well, of course. Our leading man, out for the count for a couple of weeks. The whole thing, we were in Africa 3 days shy of 3 months. In the end, and I would say rather than shooting for 6 weeks, which we intended to shoot for, I would say we shot for the equivalent of 4 weeks within that time. So we were there for twice as long, but we shot for 50% less. Okay, but that's just what you had to do. So John and I sometimes were tearing sequences out of the script, tearing bits of our heart. This was our little
Yeah.
baby.
I've been
and,
labouring on this script since the mid-80s when I first saw the original Dawn of the Dead. So it was like tearing bits of my heart out. I'd been thinking about this thing. It's what I got into filmmaking to make, this movie. And God, it hurt doing that. It really hurt. It was hard to deal with, I have to say.
It
Yeah.
must have been very tough, actually.
Yeah.
It was horrible.
In saying that, though, I mean, with all the bad things that did happen, what were the highlights? Were there any highlights or finishing?
Getting
Was that
home alive.
Yeah.
No, I'm kid you
Yeah,
not, was the
honestly.
highlight. And I think
touching down?
We all began to think. I mean, I can speak for myself, especially. I thought I wasn't going to get out of there alive. I really thought we weren't going to make it, and there was some really dark times. And getting on that plane and heading out, the
just
relief.
getting on the
my body
plane.
shut down. I was in bed shaking for 3 days.
Yeah.
but you still have nightmares. You still wake up.
I still wake up in the middle of the night, my heart thumping, covered in sweat, thinking I was back there.
Post-traumatic
Yeah,
stress.
some sort of post-traumatic. It was pretty horrific.
Yeah, for me, I was shouldering a producer as well as director responsibility on my shoulders, which
much
was really,
responsibility.
really quite difficult. And everyone understandably had a bad time, so no one was in a good mood. Trust me. And it was really,
We had
really
a few
horrific.
laughs.
And these were people's lives at
Yeah,
stake. I
nervous
started
laughs.
to realise, we were potentially going to kill everyone. It felt like we really were, and there were
It
many
really
times
was
we
that
almost
danger,
didn't get
yeah.
back alive, and I thought I'd end up killing people. I'm amazed no one died on that shoot. It came very, very
it's a
close.
miracle.
So would you say that if you did have the opportunity to go back in, say, a time machine caravan, would you do it the same? Would you change anything? Would you even go back to Africa? Because you'd be crazy in my eyes to do it.
Yeah, just to be mentally prepared is probably everything, and you can estimate, work out that it's going to take 5 weeks to get your equipment in. You factor that in. You factor all these things in, and basically shoot in South Africa. Don't go to war-torn West Africa, right on the border of Sierra Leone, where they're killing each other left, right, and centre. I mean,
Maybe give that wide berth.
give that a wide berth and be sensible.
But then
would
again,
you go
I
back?
want to say
wait,
something.
Wait, would you go back? Would you go back? Would you redo what she's asking? Would we redo The Dead?
I don't know.
No, but I tell you what.
see,
I tell you what I want to
after
say.
all that, I'll let you say your thing. Yes.
Probably not.
One thing I want to say, all the bad times we had, and trust me, there were a lot of them. We had a unique situation.
Yes.
We came into a country that is extremely poor, and we came in with a lot of cash, literally, and we were bringing in cash all the time. We had a unique opportunity to give money, not via some charity who says, "Oh,
Yes.
don't give it to them, give it to us, and we'll see that they get it." And that's the structure
Directly
of most
in their
charities.
pockets,
And then
for
often
people
the
who
money
needed
doesn't
it,
get there.
yeah.
We were able to see people, look people in the eye,
was nice.
find out what needs they had. We were not saving the world. Don't get me wrong. We were making a movie,
No, but you
feel as
but
though
we
you
were
have
giving
contributed.
money.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, they bought a donkey, cart,
Rice.
fixed a cart.
We would
fix people's
we would
villages.
try
We
and
would
sort
find out what
I
they
built-
needed.
I built a
villages out
swing.
of it.
In addition
You
to
fixed a swing.
No, I built
Oh,
one.
you
They'd never seen
had a
one
swing
before.
on a swing.
But then they took it down because the rope was more important.
we've got to go and do our tech check. I'm told to
Other
panic at
places.
10:2. It's 5:2.
Okay.
Is it?